Welcome to Monday. It's a good week ahead. It's just a good day. So I'm glad you're with me today. Take a moment, come on in. Come on into my little world for just a moment. Let's share a thought or two together. How about that? When I was a little boy and attending Sunday school and vacation Bible schools and the such, one of the songs that we commonly sang was one that was shared by children all over the place. Simply called Jesus Loves the Little Children. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red, yellow, black, and white. They are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Nice thought, isn't it? It really is, and pretty accurate. Jesus does love. That's very clearly spelled out, not just the children, but the adults as well. People of all races, of all kinds, of all times. He died for all humanity, the love of God demonstrated, Romans 5 and verse 8, for us all. But you know, sometimes applying it is not as easy as we would like it to be. It was in 1985, I believe, 1985. The congregation of the church where I was working had a young man, a member of the congregation, who was a fairly young black man, who was very limited in his sight, almost blind, walked with a cane and so forth, like you would expect. Couldn't drive a car, and so he needed help with transportation. One day he contacted me and he said he needed a ride. I said, sure, where do you need to go? His name was Elwood Kane. I said, Elwood, where do you need to go? I need to go get a haircut. Can you take me to the barber shop? And I said, I'd be glad to. What day? He told me, and I said, all right. I didn't ask him where it was. He said, well, I go to a particular barber, and I said, okay, you just tell me where it is, and I'll take you. So on the appointed day, I showed up. I picked up Elwood at his place, and we headed out. Now remember, this was in 1985. We made our way across the downtown area of Oklahoma City to the near northeast side of town, or just kind of the east side of town, in the area over near the Deep Deuce, what is now just close to, just north of the Bricktown area, popular area in Oklahoma City. But anyway, at the time that we went down there, it was kind of an older business district, and that's where the barber shop was. And so I drove over, found a parking place next to the curb, opened the door and let him out. It didn't take me a moment to realize that I was not in my common element. Well, I'd been involved in many interracial situations, gone to an integrated high school, ran track behind most everybody else, but anyway, ran track with a mixed racial group, black, white, primarily. Didn't think that much about it. But I got out of the car and realized I was, I think, the only white guy in the area. I guess you could say for a little while I was truly the minority. Anyway, Elwood got out of the car and helped him into the barber shop, met the barber there, and the barber told me it'd be a little while. He told me that if I wanted to leave, I could come back and he should be done with Elwood in about an hour. Elwood said, that'd be fine. I said, okay. He said, I'll go do some stuff and I'll be back in a little while. So I left. I don't know what I did, made a visit or two, went somewhere, did something for a little while, and then I came back, found a parking place, same street, got out of my car, made my way into the barber shop, and it was still going to be a few minutes before Elwood was done. He was in the chair and his hair was being trimmed, but it was going to be a little while before he was done. The barber shop was full and all the chairs were filled up. Again, I was the only white guy there. And I thought, it's a beautiful day. I'll just go outside and wander around a little bit. I went outside and I kind of looked around the streets. Had not, before that day, I guess, spent any time on that street if I'd even been on that street. And I began to look around and there were people looking at me. And I guess they were wondering, what in the world is this white guy doing over here? I don't know what they thought. I could have to read their mind. Maybe they weren't thinking anything about it. Maybe I was imagining the whole thing. But there were people standing around in different places and It seemed like a lot of eyes were on me. I said it seemed. But it brought home again that realization that we do see the difference, and sometimes we harbor pretty strong differences. Shouldn't be that way. Oh yeah, well, seeing the difference, no way around that. We see skin color wherever we are, like we see hair color and everything else. And yes, there are differences culturally, there are differences of history, there are differences that we have in a lot of ways. But that shouldn't segregate us and set us apart. Not in the sense of dividing us one from another, whatever our race might be. Elwood finished his haircut. I picked him up at the barber shop. We got into the car, and I drove him back to his apartment, helped him in, and went about my business. But I couldn't get out of my mind the thought of being on that street and being watched. And it wasn't just my imagination the whole time I was there. I got to realize, and you got to realize, that was about 35 or more years ago, 36 years ago, I guess you'd say nearly. 36 years ago, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have gotten better. They weren't as bad then as they had been at earlier days, but they're even better now. Our neighborhoods are more integrated, and jobs and so forth, we don't think nearly as much about it. There's still places where we find segregation, and we are inclined to people who look like us, whether black or white or whatever we might be. But the reality is, when it comes down to it, we're just people loved by God, loved enough to give his son for us. You know, there was that staunch Jewish fisherman by the name of Simon Peter. He was an apostle of the Lord, and the Lord confronted him with his sense of order and his sense of segregation, his sense of who he was in a vision. And then he was called to go and speak to a man of a different nation. Difficult for him. But I think that we ought to know it above all as he went and as he found himself in the home of a Gentile. It says when he walked in, he opened his mouth, verse 34 of Acts chapter 10. He opened his mouth and said, "In truth, I perceive that God shows no partiality, but verse 35, in every nation, whoever fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him." There's a pretty good standard for us. You know, we'll always struggle a little bit, I guess, with people who are different from us and wonder about them. Maybe we'll watch them on the street if they look different. I don't know. I think things are much better than they've been. And if we allow them and we set our hearts right, they'll get even better. I think racism is an individual heart problem. And I'd like to see us get beyond it as best we can, one person at a time. Elwyn and I went to a barber shop and it got my attention. Hopefully if I find myself in those shoes again, I wouldn't feel so out of place. But just another guy on the street, open of heart, open of mind, and desiring just to be the people we are, and all loved by God. It's a great Monday. I hope it's one that is special for you, and we'll look forward to sharing some more things down the road. Thanks for sharing with me today, and aren't you glad just to be alive and be here? Hey, talk to you later.